little extra up on the board, just so you have that information. It's not just me saying it, right? You can see what I'm talking about. As far as note-taking, I highly recommend that you write down, my trick of the trade is write down concepts that you're not familiar with. Just a quick, in your own words, what I was saying. You don't have to write down every detail, all the context. That's not important, but just listen for concepts, right? And if you have any reactions to things, it's good to jot down those as well. Well, let's get into it. It's my style. I like to have conversations with people. This is a very big room, and I remember being a student, it's pretty easy to avoid talking, but I'm at least going to try to ask you some questions, because a lot of these things I'm going to present today, there's not a simple binary yes or no kind of answer. These things are complicated. People have really strong opinions about the roles of music in politics. I'm interested in hearing what you think, because honestly, I don't know better than you. I'm presenting this from some field work I did. So I would like it very much if you can try to give me opinions, if we can chat a little bit, make this funner for me and probably you as well. So, just to start out with, what makes music political? Opinion time. Does anyone have any feeling about, if we say, oh, that song's a little political, what does that mean?
Maybe when the music sends out like a deep message about a topic.
When it sends out a deep message?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you think of an example?
Yeah. Oh, how about that song that Wiz Khalifa did like a year and a half ago called "See You Again." It's basically based on someone leaving your life
Uh-huh.
for a while, and then you'll probably see them again when you die.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's based on an inspirational message. That's how I see it.
Inspiration.
Inspirational kind of message.
I think absolutely political message can be one that inspires people.
Yeah, that's.
Can anyone think of a different take on political music?
So,
What makes music political?
I mean, I would think it'd be around source of controversy, because you never really hear a song about someone praising government. So it's kind of something they have a problem with.
It's just to express, just we'd call it
Maybe
spotlight.
maybe a disdain for a certain thing, or
Okay.
maybe bringing certain controversy to light.
Yeah, so two things: to express a feeling about something, but the other is to just just say it's happening. A lot of political things, the argument is there's not enough attention to this. For example, some of my research in Mexico City had to do with the phenomenon of gender violence against women in an atmosphere in which feminicide, that's the murder of women, is about 8 women a day in the entire country. So it's one of the most dangerous places in the world for women and journalists. And the worst thing about it is a lot of the media outlets don't talk about it. So there's political music that tries to tell you exactly how bad it is in this moment because nobody's paying attention to it. So that's another function that you can have. Okay. Let's think about like real examples. Who can give me some examples of political music, in your opinion? Maybe something you actually listen to or you feel strongly about. Yeah.
This is America.
Oh. This is America. Okay, news for you. We're talking about This is America. So you can give your insight. We're going to do an analysis, yes?
J. Cole.
Oh, so J. Cole?
Yes, Be Free.
What's political? Tell me why it's political. Your opinion.
Talks about gun reform and justice.
So would that be spotlighting, or is it letting people know about a thing, or is it expressing emotion about a thing, or some combination?
I think it's a combination.
Okay. I'm sorry, you second to next, but you in the back.
We did start the fire with Billy Joel.
Okay. So what's political about that?
He just does a lot of talking about like the crisis that was going on in like the Cold War crisis.
Okay, great. You, sir?
Yeah. NWA.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but here we have, it is without a doubt political. how is it political? What is it doing? Is it saying how it feels in a certain situation? Is it telling us what's happening? Is it a message that's only for certain people, or is for the whole world? What can you give me some analysis of why NWA is political?
I mean, you go back to songs like After Police, Strata Compton. I mean, you can tell they talk about police brutality against minorities, and how the government should take more responsibility in that. For example, the Rodney King incident back 30 years ago now. So that was a huge thing back then, and so they used that song, those songs like After Police, as a message to the government and the government.
Yeah, sure. Hey, forgive me if I say something funny, okay? We'll be equal. Well, the Rodney King thing is going to relate to what we're talking about later. What made the Rodney King incident, if you don't know, that was 1991, 2. It's a police beating of a driver, and something made that different than the thousands of times that happened before in Los Angeles. What was different? It was recorded, absolutely. So we're actually going to be talking about the This Is America video when he mentions, he says, this is a celly, this is a tool. We need to think about what he means by that, how the idea of spotlighting, putting focus on something people don't pay attention to, can be political in its own end. And when we're saying political, what would be the most basic way to explain that concept? What does that mean, political? Okay, I'll just explain. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna guess, like, if it's something that's kind of big in society, if it's controversial or it's happening
Sure.
currently.
Yeah, I think the key word is society. Political comes from the word polis, having to do with the people, the village. So whenever you're trying to persuade the people, like with an election or opinion through journalism or anything like that, it's on a political scale. It's having to do with the opinions and views and feelings of the people. So we mean that really broadly when we say music and politics. One final question. Do you believe that music can contribute to or make social change? Okay, one person tell me why. Oh, you said.
Because I feel like music has a different way of getting to people. It emotionally gets to people, tells stories.
Yeah.
There's something about music that is able to bring certain situations to light, and I think it's one of the best ways that we can actually get political issues, at least brought to light or resolved.
That's fantastic. We talked about spotlight, bringing attention. So it's like, that's through lyrics usually. You're talking about a thing. He's talking about an entirely different dimension, the emotional dimension. Why am I not presenting on politics and politics? I'm presenting on music and politics, because the point is, what makes my message different if I sing it? What makes the experience of a protest different if you're all singing together and moving together at the same time? Music has this capacity to amplify a political message in an incredible way. And remember, I said politics having to do with the people. So that doesn't necessarily mean fighting the man, fighting authority. Politics can be from authority. And the musical role of the role of music in politics is also ambivalent. It can go both ways. You can use music to indoctrinate people or intimidate people, and you can also use music to resist. So we have to think, when we're talking about politics, we don't mean it from one angle or the other. Okay, just some key ideas, and you can find these in chapter 9. You might have seen these already. Have you guys seen them? Raise your hand if you have. Music is frequently used for symbolic communication in political context. What would symbolic communication be? Can you think of an example in the political music you've mentioned?
Are you asking through music, symbolic communication through music?
Yeah. How can I symbolically communicate a political message through music?
I guess being subtle in your approach and what you say, and saying something that you're saying something without really saying it. dropping little hints and sprinkles of what you're trying to get at. For example, even in the performance, you can have symbology like we talked about this. I forgot the performer, but she had handcuffs on that were whale, I believe, or they were something seal, and it had to do with the issue pertaining to seals in her community. So that symbology that someone recognizes from that community will understand what she's trying to say.
So that's, again, amplifying more. Not just music, music and performance, music and dress, music and movement, all can be used to convey a symbolic message. Now we'll get in later into why you would want to be symbolic rather than direct and just say what you're talking about. There's different reasons for that. Music can convey official ideologies, as in national anthems. In your book, one of the case studies, if we have time, we'll get into a little bit, is the attempt after the election of the first black president in South Africa, Nelson Mandela, to create a musical representation of the idea of reconciliation by taking the old Afrikaans hymn. The Afrikaans are the white Dutch descendant South Africans, and a Zulu, and another combined with another language, another hymn that was sort of a Pan-African colonial resistance song, and then actually just sticking the two together. So when we talk about projecting an ideology, that's a way of music. We want to show unity, we stick two songs together. Whether you think that's a little vulgar or not, there's a lot of opinions about whether that was a successful national anthem thing. But the point is, that's one idea, that's their official ideology, they're showing it through a song. Music can convey what cannot be spoken publicly, giving voice to political resistance. Any examples, any thoughts about that, just starting off? Maybe we'll come back to that, because that's a little more complex. Music stirs up powerful emotions and strengthens social bonds that could be used to control a population or provoke them to fight for social political change. Now, I'm going to skip ahead just for time. What I'd like to do is a video analysis of this. This is America. Who's seen it already? Okay, good. Lots of you. So here's how I'd like to approach it. Can you make sure you have some kind of writing material, some kind of writing tool out? And what I want is a free write. I want you to write down just stream of consciousness, what comes to mind, things you notice. A good technique for doing this quickly is to just write a word or something that'll remind you of the thought later. Pay attention to any feelings that come up. Write them down. You don't have to tell me all your feelings. You can keep them to yourself. But just get them out, put them down on paper just so you have them to think about. Let me know. You're sort of ready? Okay, let's see if this works. Let's try again, guys. All right, in the meantime, a couple of things. I want you to stream of consciousness, write down whatever you want. Pay attention to, since you guys have quite a foundation of music making, your ears are full of different kind of musics from around the world. I want you to pay attention to the things you recognize or you think you recognize. Just take note of that, okay? Well, I'm getting internet. Should I go to YouTube? Thank you. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Uh-oh.
Just you click on.
Oh, did I do it wrong?
We just wanna party.